Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ignite with Sandy. Yes, the platform is Celestia, and we are in conversation with a wonderful, interesting lady that I met. So before I introduce her, do you remember what Celestia is about? Is this fabulous magazine, an online magazine that we have from the UK, and now we are spreading our footprint to all different parts of the world. And I have the fabulous job of interviewing women from different parts of the world. And so I find these really inspiring people, inspiring individuals who are doing fantastic things in their lives. And sometimes I think to myself, oh my God, how do they have the energy? How do they have all of that to bring everything together? And that's why this is called Ignite with Sandy, because, we fire up those neurons when you hear my guest every week. And so we're going to have this fabulous video on our Celestia YouTube channel as well. So remember, you've got to tune in. And now I would love to introduce my guest for today. Now, when I met this fabulous lady, she was giving a lecture at some event that I was at, and she sat in the background and never made, like I need to be in front and stuff like that. So I really didn't realize that she was one of the speakers. But when she started speaking, I was like, whoa, what was that? And ever since then, she and I have been connected, and I've always wondered when would I get the opportunity to speak with her, to interview her, and help share her journey. And here she is today. So I would like her to introduce herself to you, because I always make my guests do that. I put them on the spot because they have to introduce themselves to you. So please, my dear Neelam, introduce yourself to our fabulous audience.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And thank you so much, Sonia, for connecting us. It's the other way around. When I saw Sandy, she didn't see me. I was stunned by this spectacular looking woman, powerful and so very graceful. And I'm so glad that we met and we spoke and we are friends forever. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this beautiful, wonderful forum. And introduction, I would like to say I am from Mumbai, India. My name is Neelam Kumar, and I'm a recycled, repositioned, and renewed human being. Maybe I have a little more to give and a little more to get, because when you give, you get. And I'll tell you why I'm a recycled and repositioned person when Sandy talks to me about my journey. But Neelam Kumar, I wear, like many of the achiever women in this group, we wear several hats. I'm a mother. I have worked in a corporate in a top position as chief of communications, and I am a life skills coach because I love to fire young people's minds and make them the best versions of themselves. Also, I happen to have written 10 books. All of them are bestsellers. And my 11th is in the pipeline. Yes.
Wow. And they just happen to be bestsellers, right? You're too modest, my dear. You're too modest.
Sandy.
Okay, so Neelam, I want you to share with us when you were a young girl in school, where were you staying? Was it in India, outside India? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey. So my parents, they took me to a country, a non-English speaking country, not a very popular country now, Russia. And they were on a government assignment to write books there and translate them. So I was a little girl. So with my sister, Poonam, we went there, and I did my primary school education there. Education there was a fairy tale. I call them my strawberry days. There were no books. It was just nature and me. That's
Wow.
how yes. So that's why I later on took up teaching life skills, because I believe in book-free education. And, we would have to collect strawberries, and we would have to jump into the Black Sea to learn to pick up as many seashells as we could. So cut a long story short, it was a fairy tale experience. But one fine day, my parents brought me back to India and our educational system.
Oh my God.
So Sandy, it was a nightmarish affair. I did not know English, and I quickly became the clown of the entire school, because when they would ask me something, I would reply in English and they would double up with laughter. One day, my teacher, God bless her, she called me to the blackboard, and in front of the whole class, she asked me to, I couldn't understand what she said. And she pointed to the blackboard and she asked me to do something. And I could not understand it. So she asked me to get my notebook, and she scribbled in it with red ink. And I said, beautiful, red ink is beautiful, I thought. And when I ran home, my papa said, child, what it's written? It's written, this girl is wood sitting on wood. She will never learn the English language. So my whole journey, my life journey, has been all about trying to prove to myself that I know English. That's how I wrote 10 best-selling books, all in English.
All right, fine. So as you grew up, and what happened in your family, and what happened when you got married? Could you share that with us?
I will. The first experience taught me that obstacles are actually opportunities to grow.
Okay.
And that's how I decided that nothing would, stop me from becoming the best version of myself. But life is like an ECG graph, isn't it? I met the man of my dreams, and we all but eloped. We got married, we fell in love. And he was 40 and I was 35. We had 2 beautiful children, and one day he dropped down dead. So that
so
was young. And I had to wipe my tears, Sandy, because there were 2 tiny children pulling at my skirts, and I knew that I was now responsible for them. So it was a scary journey in a patriarchal society to be a young widow. And I didn't know the ropes of the world. I didn't know how to go to the bank. He was a perfect, man, a dream man, who allowed me my time to read Mills and Bones and whatever I read at that time. So I didn't know the ways of the world. It was a difficult journey, but I learned the lesson that the only way to fight life's battle is to wear your battle gear and fight. Yeah. So I fought. And from the label of poor widow, I changed it to capable professional. I was in this job in India's largest steel company, and I kept growing, because I wanted to work very hard. It was very stressful. And, that's where
So when you were this young widow working in the corporate world, which I'm quite sure was quite male dominated.
Yes.
So first you're female, now you're a widow. So were there any issues that you had to face, any prejudices or change in attitude that you found were not very supportive? Or what was the atmosphere like for you?
Sandy, I was in a small town, and therefore I was judged. First of all, the women, my friends, best friends, they kept hiding their husbands from me. for some odd reason,
Oh, yeah, because you were going to chase them.
I had no intention of chasing anyone,
Hmm.
And I found that suddenly I had no friends. I was not called for Aarti. I don't know whether you know what
Yeah, yeah,
Aarti means.
yes, of
Yeah,
course.
so auspicious occasions. So I found I didn't want my children to grow up with a scar, emotional scar. Luckily, I had just come back from the US after a master's degree in journalism. So my mind was wide, and I was ready to fly. And here I was trying to battle, negotiate a path in a, space which was not me.
Yes.
So, my daughter was growing. She was going to be a teenager. I sort of felt, I didn't feel that it would be safe for her to be in a small town where, her mother is being looked at in a different way.
Yes.
So I had a very good boss, and I, requested him for a transfer to Mumbai, because Mumbai is a very cosmopolitan city. And at first they said it'll be, corporate suicide that you are committing, because you are definitely a highest flyer. I said, I'll make it. I'll make it wherever I am. And so I came to Mumbai, and happy to say I broke the glass ceiling in a male world.
So tell me a little bit about the fact that here you were still a very young person with growing girls, and now you land in Mumbai, which is a massive city compared to your small town, and the corporate structure, the corporate world is a very different ball game.
Yeah.
How did you, as you said, you broke the glass ceiling? So how did that happen?
So I think I had already created an interest in my being a knowledgeable, hardworking, very tenacious, very go ahead kind of a professional. So I was leading a team of men, and
Okay.
and there was the boys club thing, of course, but then I think at a certain point I made it. I discovered that actually your gender doesn't matter if you are good at your work, because at the end of it, my team, the boys, they all were respecting me as a person, as a leader, not as a boss. So that I loved, because a boss is someone who gives orders, but they thought I was a transformational leader, because I was transforming them and I was showing them a vision of how we could take the company ahead. That worked. And so I did quite well. And at the peak of my career, I got this little bee in my bonnet, Sandi,
Okay.
that I must leave everything and I must give back to society.
Okay.
And that's how I joined a school, which is a very big school here. And I started training 17-year-old boys and girls how to navigate society. And
Okay,
that's
I
how
think that,
I'm a
that
life
that's
coach.
I think an extremely wonderful thing that you did, because in most places young people don't have any guidance. They don't they're sort of lost in a huge corporate world, and then they
Absolutely.
start suffering from depression, and they start not being able to cope with things, and then that takes them down a completely different destructive lane. So I'm
Absolutely.
happy that you focused on this vulnerable group that is ready to make their way into the world.
Because whatever I missed, I wanted, the youth of today to experience the joy of being handheld by a person who has been through it and seen it all, not knows it all, but we'll all discover the way forward by helping each other. So
Yes, that's
it's
true.
been a wonderful
So
experience.
when we're talking about stress and we're talking about fatigue and we're talking about the mental and physical pressures that we put ourselves through. Uh, at what stage in your life did you feel that you were just doing too much, and then your body said, "Hello, Neelam, I think we need to take a break"?
Yes, it's been quite a journey. Um, you said it right, Sandy. Yes, the body, I was always in the fighting mode, to not have my children scarred. And of course, I sent my son, he was 15 years old, and I had many journalist friends in America. So, he went, I sent him on, to finish his schooling there in America. And all I had was my little girl with me. But the stress was too much. The stress of being a good mother, the stress of, rising properly in the organization without compromising on any values, which, are very strongly ingrained in me. And, one fine day, the doctor discovered very close to my heart a lump, a breast cancer lump. And, it was close to my heart because, of course, there was a lot of stress. That was my first cancer.
Okay.
And when life became perfect, when everything was going hunky-dory, and, I thought, now that my children are married and, I have done sort of, in life, whatever I wanted to do, not whatever I want to do, whatever I wanted to continue doing,
Yes.
like writing,
Hmm.
very silently, it struck me again. So it has a will.
What do you
Life
mean
has
again? You mean twice?
twice.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. This is amazing. And here you're sitting looking so fabulous. So
But I
tell me,
must tell you, sorry,
yeah,
Sandy, yeah, I must tell you, it's not what happens to us.
okay.
It is how we deal with what happens to us.
Very
So
true. Very true.
I made that my life's mission.
Okay.
When I was, in a corporate, I never actually looked like a boss because I wanted to be one with the others. When I
Okay.
was a teacher, I didn't look like a tired old teacher. I wore fancy clothes. I looked very smart. Even now, this morning, I was wearing a very, a short dress, and the kids love it, because then you are one of them.
Yes.
So, survivors of cancer, I wanted to break many myths about those who survive. And at a time, my own story, Sandy, of becoming a writer,
Okay.
and, that is very much, woven into my cancer journey. So do you
Okay.
mind if I tell you how both are intertwined? This, when the first time I got cancer, I did not know what to do.
Yes.
I was the usual, oh my God, what will I do? Why did this happen to me? What will happen to my children if I'm gone? The second time, I'd become a veteran, a pro. So I said, okay, now that you've come, I'll soon have you out, but not before I learn the lesson that you've tried to give me. And on the chemotherapy table itself, Sandy, when I looked around in India, there was no happy literature on
Yes.
cancer. They were all miserable stories of people suffering and dying. And I said, hell, where do I get my motivation and inspiration from? That's when I decided I will become my own cheerleader. And on
Yes.
the chemotherapy table, I wrote that book, To Cancer with Love, My Journey of Joy, picked up by Hay House, and it became a bestseller and India's first joyous book on cancer.
Yes. I think you did a fabulous job on that, because from what I have seen from, we have cancer support groups here, etc., etc. Mostly, the women are in this martyr syndrome.
Absolutely.
You
And
know,
it's so
and
sad.
I think one of the reasons why you bounced back was
Yes,
because of your very positive attitude. So, okay, you have cancer, that's fine. I'll just deal with it and move on.
absolutely.
You didn't let it rule or control your life. You used it as the springboard for doing more stuff.
Absolutely, Sandy. And I had no hair, no eyelashes, no eyebrows. At that time, I went up on stage and I talked about the fact, thank you, that women don't talk about, the breast,
Hmm.
although, in society, the breast is taken as a titillating organ,
Yes.
where its rightful position is one of a nurturing organ. And I interviewed so many women who said, I do feel something, but I'm too ashamed to go to a doctor. And there are so many people who ask me, oh, you've got cancer. Is it infectious? They have no clue
Yes.
that cancer is not a death sentence. And so I kept going to people and women, and I said, go get your cancer screening done. I'm going to live. In fact, one gentleman, a very erudite gentleman, he came and shook hands with me. And he said, ma'am, it was lovely knowing you. Bon voyage, ma'am. And Sandy, you love to talk back to people. You know what I told him? I said, where am I going, sir? I'm going to outlive you. He was struck speechless.
Yes.
So, attitude, what you said, attitude matters a lot in
Quite
how
true,
you
my dear.
deal.
Quite true. Quite true. So now, you've always been a very approachable person. You have a lot of humility. You are always very open, very welcoming to contribute to what else. But there's also a side of you that's very celebrity. So
Oh,
tell me about that.
I
I
don't
want the
know.
people to know about that. And how did it happen?
Well, not, I don't know, celebrity. Sorry, but I feel it's a very, very shallow word. And we make the wrong kinds of people our idols.
Yes.
So my personal definition of celebrity is somebody who has used her status to give back to society. So when my book became, this cancer to cancer with love, and it was, I follow Buddhism. I believe that you always win, you never lose.
Yes.
So I wanted to bring out a graphic novel version. Writers have a lot of fame, celebrities, fame, no money. Okay, so that's the sad part. So what happened is that, I put it up on my social media and everywhere that, I would love to bring the first graphic novel to India. And a company approached me. They said, yes, if you give us 13 lakhs, we'll make the illustrations. So I put it up on my social media. I said, I have 60 days to collect 13 lakhs. And nobody came forward. They all thought maybe I was a con woman or something. But on the 59th day, so grateful, Mr. Ratan Tata, he
Oh,
gave me, he approached me and he gave me a check of 10 lakhs. Then I said, sir, what about the other 3 lakhs? So he said, no, Indians must wake up. And on the 60th day, guess what happened? Neelam Kumar ji, मैं अमिताभ बच्चन बोल रहा हूँ.
oh, wow.
he, he called me over to his home and my check was ready. And then that's how I think, the networking started and, people wanted the book. They wanted to see who has written the book. They wanted to talk to me. And then, the actor Manisha Koirala,
Yes.
she approached me to write her book, Healed. how cancer gave me a new life. And, she organized it, the launch. That was the glittering affair. Name
Okay.
anyone, and they were all there, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how the connections and the interconnections. But, as I told you, my definition of celeb is you, Sonia, all those people who do something for society, not for themselves.
That is true. So tell me now, are you writing another book?
Oh, you must hear this. So,
Okay.
well, I wrote that, and then so I said, oh my God, only cancer books? Is that going to be my life? And then the lockdown happened. And when the lockdown happened, I saw there was so much of despair everywhere. So I wrote I Am Invincible, 13 true tales of grit, courage, and survival. And I had the opportunity to interview so many people across the world, rape victims. There's a gang rape woman who is now a celebrity, and she came on camera, and we talked about it. And this book also became a light of hope in the dismal times that we were living through. So that book became a bestseller, and I wrote 2 or 3 after that. I keep forgetting. But this time, there are 2 interesting books that are going to, the one has come out. It's called Vikram Betal. I don't know if you know about it. Those are ancient tales in India,
Yes.
which I have attached modern lessons, life lessons to them. How does the wisdom of Betal and how do the answers of Vikram relate to our modern times? So it's all how to manage anger, how to answer how to do critical thinking. So it is a very tool-filled book for youngsters. But now what I am writing, and tomorrow I will be finishing, is a book that I have always wanted to do. It is a book about, it's called Grand Teens and Grandparents. Your times, our times. So I'm co-authoring it with my grandson, who's 16 years old.
Okay.
And he's talked about all the malaise of modern times, like stress and mental health and the romance and whatever, breakups they go through. And I have written about our times, what our times were like. They have no clue how we lived without gadgets, how we survived without Netflix, so it's a very interesting book because I've interviewed a lot of grandparents and lots of youngsters also.
That should be very interesting because, to get the perspective of people in our age group and what we thought was important, what we thought was the best thing. And then now we have the youngsters saying, oh, come on, in which world do you live? Yes, I get that all the time, and it's
I know.
quite happy. I'm quite happy to let them, become the instructors and me become the student to learn from them. So I think it's a wonderful synergy, and when you're putting that down in a book, I'm sure it's going to turn out to be very interesting to both sets of people.
Yes,
so you sort of bridge the gap.
Much.
You bridge the gap, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when is that coming out?
Well, tomorrow I finish writing it.
Okay.
No, I've written it. I just have to, it goes through so many edits because when I'm sleeping, I think maybe I left this out. And then a youngster comes to me and tells me, ma'am, you asked me about relationships. Let me tell you, we believe in fast and furious relationships. So please, will you put that down? And then the girl comes up and she says, ma'am, do you know, I do not believe in marriage because I believe in relationships. With every relationship, you grow, and so I want to grow. And there's a grandmother who says, no, love is eternal. And even if you don't get along, you stay on for society's sake. So it's a completely clash of, views. And
Yeah.
that I think is going to make it very interesting.
Okay, so Neelam, we're coming to the end of our interview.
Yes.
So I would like very much for you, whatever you feel from your heart, is some messages that you would like to share with the viewers.
First of all, before we end, I would like to ask every woman who's listening to this, please go for your cancer screening today. The reason why I'm alive is because I caught it in the first stage. And my little message is a little something I wrote for you, Sonia. It is my tribute to life, because life, I think, is the most precious gift we have.
Yes.
Dear life, I promise I shall never disrespect you by not living you fully. A fight between a powerful opponent and a weak one is hardly interesting, isn't it? So I have decided to become strong like you. I refuse to be defined by the limiting words you have for me. Human, aging, cancerous, mortal, woman. I shall defy each one of these as long as I can. You may mark my face with wrinkles. You may steal the strength from my bones. You may take the color from my hair. But how can you do anything about my inner child? You cannot. I shall continue celebrating it as long as I am alive.
Yes, superb. Excellent, darling. Wonderful. Those are really wonderful words. And, that's such a lovely message to leave us with, because, it's so resounding, and it's so simple and yet so profound.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
Really lovely. Anyway,
Thank you,
sweetheart,
Sandi.
it's been wonderful having you, and I hope that you will come back again and be my guest on Ignite with Sandi, because this time is too short to be able to really enjoy Neelam Kumar.
Ah, thank you for igniting me, Sandi. And I'm a
Yes,
huge
yes.
fan.
Yes,
Okay.
it's wonderful. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's going to be watching this fabulous interview with Neelam Kumar, do remember we are Celestia, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and of course, we're on YouTube. And that's where I would like you to go and to subscribe to our channel. And of course, press like for all the interviews that are there. And don't forget to leave your fabulous comments, because that makes us feel special. And just as we would like to make you feel special, it's a two-way street. So like Neelam and I connected, and here we are today on screen. Never thought it would happen, but it has. And so with that lovely feeling of being together, contributing, enjoying, and being energized by what my fabulous guest has said today, thank you very much, and God bless.
Namaste. Thank you very, very much. Love you.